We're going to talk about social media today, all things social media, specifically how social media um, affects private practice. Okay, let me go live everywhere. Hello, everybody. So, let's talk about social media and private practice. And there are opinions about it. There are opinions. Should you do social media in private practice? Is it a good way? Is it not a good way? And also in this episode or in this live stream episode, depending where you watching or listening to it too, I'm going to talk about some of the ethical stuff. Specifically for therapists and how when we talk about social media in social selling, I'm going to talk about what is social selling, how it's like quite actually different from like other service providers, what therapists can and cannot do specifically, some of the safety and ethical guardrails when it comes to social media. And my hope that by the end of this episode, by the end of this live stream or video, you are going to walk away with hopefully more informed decisions. And more importantly, also, I'm going to tell you some of the platforms that a lot of therapists might sleep on or not consider right away for their private practice. Now, um, let me just address the elephant in the room that this formula that you post and you get clients may or may not work for your private practice immediately. Another elephant in the room that you might have a lot of followers, and your a lot of followers may not translate in a lot of clients. Fun fact, on LinkedIn, I have about 9,000 followers, and I was actually a little bit more profitable when I had 3,000 followers. So followers does not mean income. And I know therapists who have like a little bit of followers, like 300 followers, but they have like steady client flow from their social media. So that is another factor. Another factor to consider when we talk about social media specifically is that social media is not this emergency emergency option like, oh, I don't have any clients, let me pull social media really quick, let me post something on social media and hopefully somebody will sign up. They may or may like it may or may not work. um, and this is what we're going to break all down today. And if you're watching on the live stream, or if you're watching the replay or listening to a podcast, please drop your questions in the comments in the chat, or send me a DM on LinkedIn or Instagram with your questions about social media. I'm more than happy to answer either you directly or create a post or another podcast or live stream episode about your question specifically. So now, one thing, like when it comes to social media specifically, one thing we wanna think about is the intent, right? And if the intent is to feel private practice, it's not about rather should I be on social media or should I not be on social media. It's about like what job social media does specifically. And for social media, for solo practitioners, right? I mean, surely you can create an account for your private practice. You can create your kind of personal business account, but people are going to come to you specifically for group private practices. Like it kind of makes sense to create a group private practice account where different clinicians are sharing content, and you kind of show behind the scenes and things like that. For solo practitioners, if you are like solo practitioner in private practice, your like your personal business account that you create probably could be quite enough. Now, when it comes to the content, so content creation is a skill. Like, and again, like when people talk about should I be on social media, should I not be on social media, can social media bring clients, that's a really complicated question, and I really want to emphasize but what do you mean by being on social media, like, and I'm also curious about the skill set. So the skill set that is required and quite learnable on social media, you gotta be engaging. You gotta be engaging. You gotta bring people on. You gotta get to the point. And some people have this natural charisma when they show up and show out, and people just like them, and people just, like, somehow they're very convincing. Some people just are natural at it. Some people are not natural at it. And the question for you specifically, whether you want to learn that skill or not. And that's okay if you don't, because there are other ways to fill your private practice, not just through social media, like search engine optimization, for example, or building your strong referral pipeline through like other professionals, appearing on other people's podcasts, audiences, um, paid advertisement, things like that. There are many ways to land clients. Google advertisement. So if you're not as engaging, and yeah, like all of those things, like might cost money, but uh, that's one thing. Another thing is really like learning how to communicate your message, right? And when it comes to social media, um, something like something that I notice, okay, and I'm going to take a little bit a little bit detour from like strictly okay private practice. This is how land clients in private practice like do X, Y, and Z. I've been on social media since 2017. And if you don't know, my first, like one of my first careers was therapy, right? I was a therapist in Moscow, Russia, built my private practice, work in the community mental health centers and things like that. Moved to the United States, worked in social services, but also I pivoted in tech. Later on, I pivoted in tech, and I actually started my content creation as the way to just get more jobs. Like I couldn't care less about like dancing on TikTok or dancing on Instagram, posting on Facebook just to get, followers and attention. Like that was not my intent at all. My intent was like I want six-figure jobs and I want big companies to notice me. I want recruiters to notice me. And I created like a bunch of crappy videos, in my opinion, boring as hell, but very pointed, very to the point. And a lot of recruiters actually appreciated those videos. And I like that was the vehicle to land jobs in tech, right? And later on, when I started my like the first offer that I created in my personal business was career counseling, career coaching, and it was closely related to tech. And that content that I built over time, over like 3 4 years, was actually my leverage that helped me to land clients like in my coaching container. And I know therapy and coaching are quite different things, but I want you to focus, like, rather than the semantics, I want you to focus on the principle. So, and the principle is that content creation is a skill, and it takes time to develop that skill. And some people are good at it, some people are not good at it. And if you're not good at it, you can get better at it. And it's just really changing your perspective. And if you come to social media from perspective that I want to get clients, and it's the journey is going to be really hard for you because social media is all about your prospective clients, not about you and not about your private practice. And when you care about your potential clients more than you care about getting clients, and you start creating content from this standpoint that like I care about you, and you create a bunch of like psychoeducational materials, reasonable self-disclosure, like personal stuff. Um, and again, that has to be reasonable. And as a private practice therapist, or like any business owner, right? You gotta understand what you like, what will be useful and beneficial for your potential client to know about you versus what you want to share, because internet is forever, and you are a licensed therapist and you do have responsibility of professional like engagement on different platforms. It's just how it works, right? So, that is really important when you change your perspective, like from I need clients from social media versus what my prospective client needs to hear right now. And that requires of you like knowing your prospective clients. And another pillar of content that clients probably want to know, except for like what they need to hear, like psychoeducation, and this is something that we should be doing. Reasonable self-disclosure. The third thing that they want to probably know is a little bit behind the scenes. And I know as practice therapists, you may not be able to show behind the scenes, right? And no, nor should you expose your clients. But like the things behind the scenes could be like what you do in between sessions, how you prepare for the sessions, um, your tools that you use to keep up with your private practice, things like that, or simply like edit. And it's gonna sound really silly, that how to work with you. Like, okay, I want to work with a therapist right now. If you work with me, this is boom, 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 X, Y, and Z, the steps that you need to take. And this is what you gotta do. You can host live sessions like I'm doing right now. And by the way, this is something that I'm so stoked and pumped about, is that you and let me see if I can actually see that. You can actually post. I just learned about it like today, that you actually can that you actually can um see, like you can actually post a link for to book a private practice consultation here, like, right? And when you do, and people go to your portal. So I do it for my consultations. For example, if you are on Instagram, you can click a link and you can book a private practice consultation, like, right? Like that that is it, right? And you can put a link for your simple practice or for your EHR, and people, and as you're doing live streams, people can book things with you. Now, these are like, again, should you be like, it's not like, one thing I want to like kind of emphasize, that social media this is not an ATM. It's not that you show up on social media, you immediately get clients. You may or you may not. Social media is rather to build your legacy, and for people to be available on, and also like visibility. Because like a lot of private practice therapists, one thing that a lot of social media managers, a lot of social media coaches don't consider, that you are very local. For example, um, I'm expanding my private practice as a hypnotherapist, and I'm adding new credentials, like I'm entering addiction counseling and addiction practice, as an addiction professional. And for that, like my addiction or substance use counseling license or substance use disorder professional credential is going to be very specific to Washington. unless I expand it to something else. So I need to be visible in Washington. So how would I do that on my social media? Like engaging with local shops, engaging with local businesses, engaging with local clinics, right? On social, like in the comments, right? Comment section is like quite fascinating thing to watch out for, because like you have reasonable addressable market as a therapist, and your reasonable addressable market as a therapist is fairly, well, it's fairly small. Like it's your state. Now, you provide online telehealth or in person? If you are telehealth, it's probably the whole state, but if you are in person, then like it's probably your city. So the reasonable addressable market kind of shrinks, right? And social media like can be extremely powerful. Also, like posting things that are not quite self-disclosure, but also things that help to kind of see you as a human, right? Not related to therapy or related to therapy, that kind of like help a person to understand who you are on day-to-day basis. Or maybe you went to a local game, or maybe you like sushi, or maybe you like certain things, or maybe you like anime. Like I like anime. Like probably I should post about anime, or things that you like about your modality specifically. Like I know people in certain modalities like EMDR, IFS. They like I like IFS. I can talk about IFS all day long. I like hypnosis. I can talk about hypnosis all day long, and you can create interest-based content because uh, that's how people can discover you. And like this is really important to understand that we right now, like if you look at any big creator out there, will tell you that we live in interest-based media, in interest-based media era, right? Is when people are not necessarily looking for a specific account, but people are rather looking for very specific interest. And the interest that you are sharing in the moment can align with the interest of your prospective client. And when they look at your profile, like, oh my gosh, like that he or she is, or they are therapists. So, and they might actually follow you or like learn more about you specifically. So like that is important. So like, and those are really like important pieces of content creation. Also, like the way I like to structure my content, and it's just for my mental clarity and sanity too, is that I would like to, like when I think about my prospective clients, okay, who has a problem right now? What problem I am solving specifically? And this is like customer awareness mapping when it comes to marketing. This is marketing pretty much uh, very respectful of framework. But like the thing is like okay, who has a problem but doesn't know that they have a problem? How do I talk to them? I help them to identify the problem. uh but also there are people who are in this ambivalence, right? And if you know motivational interviewing, you know about ambivalence. And as a therapist, you know about ambivalence. They know that they have a problem and they might know what the potential solution is, right? How to like create piece of content specifically for those, like for those people to uh gauging them towards the solution. And people who are solution aware and like ready to buy like right now, ready to book right now, they need very direct content that will tell them like, okay, this is what happens when you book with me, and this is who I am, this is how I work, this is how much it costs, this is how to book a consultation. I don't take insurance, or I take insurance, like this is exactly and this is exactly what to do. And again, majority of people who are like on social media, they are probably either problem aware or problem unaware, right? And we want to address them and kind of guide them to like to our pipeline. So another thing that like very specific for therapists for social media, this is really important. Please pay attention. Um, consultations, consultations. We don't do consultations on DMs. So we want to avoid giving clinical advice of any kind through direct messages on the internet. This is legal thing. This is ethical thing. Dual relationship and all that. And we want to specify our account in a way that people can easily go and book a consultation with us. So there's no confusion. If you start chatting with your potential clients on social media back and forth, could it create dual relationship and ethical issues? And then you start browsing and looking at their social media. Could it create an ethical issue as well? For example, for addiction professionals, we are not allowed to research and investigate without prior consent our clients. That is an ethical issue. We are not allowed to add friends as our clients in our personal social media. And this is interesting because the ethics, specifically NADAC for addiction professionals, doesn't actually specify what friends actually mean. So Facebook, we have friends. On Instagram, we have followers. Should we delete followers who are our clients? And how do we do that? Or if it is professional account, shall we not delete our followers who are following us? These are ethical territories that you gotta navigate, and you gotta get a consultation, like really in-depth consultation. So another thing is your clients might know what content you're liking and you're engaging with. Something to think about. And doesn't mean that you should and doesn't mean that you can, but something to think about. So, and this is why it is important to organize your content in a way that people can go to your bio and go to your simple practice, go to your EHR and book consultation, or they can enroll in your services, book an appointment or therapy session, or start enrolling in your therapy services through HIPAA compliant appropriate channels. So while coaches, for example, and other professionals like video editors, coaches, consultants, listen, we can talk back and forth in the DMs until the cows come home. Therapists cannot do that because, God forbid, something like Lindsay Clancy case happens as you're chatting with your client on social media. You will be summoned to court, and your DMs will be shown in a courtroom. So something to keep in mind. And if you're thinking about okay, social media may be for me, and I need to decide which social media I'm on. So there are two social media channels that a lot of therapists don't really consider. And those social media channels are LinkedIn and YouTube. There's a lot of therapists on Instagram. There are a lot of therapists on TikTok. There are a lot of therapists on Facebook. These are popular platforms, but there are not as many therapists on YouTube. There are not as many therapists on LinkedIn. I mean, there are, but it's like, okay, I'm there to look for a job. LinkedIn can be a really good platform to either connect with potential clients or to build referral relationship with other providers. It could be just as channel. So, and you might have primary social media, secondary social media. Like if you're completely new to social media, I would say start with simple one social media like channel, like Instagram, TikTok, social media channel where people can go to your bio, click on the link in your bio to book an appointment and book an appointment. I don't care what it is. LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. For TikTok, you have to have a professional account. And it takes time. And it takes time. And it also takes an effort. And also it takes personal preferences. If you don't like creating content, if you absolutely miserable creating content, I mean, that makes me sad because we need more good therapists out there on social media. But then maybe social media is not the vehicle for you. Um, but as well as I do believe that if you give social media reasonable time to pop off and reasonable time to actually work itself out and reasonable time to learn the skills, you might like it at the end of the day. And the most important thing with social media is number one, don't really get hung up or obsessed with followers. Don't really get hung up and obsessed with how many likes you get. It really doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter. Your client may not like or comment on your content and book an appointment. And this is the metrics that we cannot track. And that's perfectly okay. Don't be hung up that, oh, I'm not getting many views. This is a long game. Maybe you suck at content. It's oh, it's it's okay. Then after a while, see if you like it or not. And there are so many ways to become profitable or to run profitable and wealthy private practice that social media can be one of the vehicles, or it can be something else. But if you want to learn how social media specifically fits in your private practice, or maybe you're starting private practice as a solo practitioner, book a consultation with me. It's 90-minute consultation. It's $350. And I give you everything I know. I've been on social media since 2017. I built my following up to 9,000 followers on LinkedIn. I'm not a social media influencer. I'm not going to teach you how to be a social media influencer because I'm not the one. But did I make money on social media getting clients? Yes. Did I land amazing opportunities in terms of podcasts, in terms of interviews? Also, yes. And did I land amazing opportunities and connections through social media? Also, yes. And did it translate into monetary gain? Also, yes. And um, there's so many ways to do that. There's so many ways to do that. And um, don't forget about like reciprocity and commenting on other people's accounts. That's okay. Like that's literally okay. As you scrolling, like leave a comment. I used to have like a morning routine when I would leave 20, 30, 50 comments on LinkedIn. I don't do as much anymore. Um, but leave a comment. And the comment thing works everywhere. All right. I love you so much. I will see you in my next live stream very, very soon. Like, I don't know, like maybe tomorrow or maybe next week. We'll see how the spirit moves me. But I hope it was helpful. And leave your questions like in the comments. Send me a DM if you have questions about social media, private practice, building a business. And these are skills that work for a lot of service-based businesses. All right. Thank you so much. And I will see you later. Bye, y'all.